Hello and welcome to the Route 1 show, the football podcast bringing you all the latest action from West Yorkshire and beyond. I'm Stephen Brown and with me in the studio is Tim Factsheet Feather. Hi Tim.
Hello.
And hello Alex Spiver.
You alright, Steve?
And coming up on the show, we're going to speak to Bradford Park Avenue's Chris Howarth, all about Bradford Park Avenue's FA Cup loss against Kidderminster midweek. And we'll also review last weekend's action for our teams across Yorkshire, plus preview this weekend's games. And we'll also take a look at all the action in the Premiership and discuss the pod's predictions last week. OK, well, I'm delighted to say joining us on the line now is Bradford Park Avenue's Chris Howarth. Hi, Chris.
Hiya. You okay?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks very much for joining us. First of all, commiserations for the game on Tuesday. I mean, it was a tremendous effort from all the players. How did you view it? I mean, obviously it was a bit strange with the delay at the start, but it was still an incredible experience.
Oh, I mean, to be honest, anything that could have gone wrong to start, we did.
Yeah.
But we got there and John cleared that out of his heads. So we got his heads on it straight away. We didn't have long to warm up, but as soon as we did, we got mentally strong and ready, prepared for the game. And obviously, as the game went on, I thought we was the better team by a long way. I think we could have had a couple of early goals to start off to put us to release that pressure.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go our way. But I think as the game went on, they did come strong the first half of the extra time, I think it was, and it caught us a little bit off guard. But since then, we just carried on playing as football, and we were lucky really to get an equaliser.
Yeah, some of the chances Park Avenue had as well, it's incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what did we hit post twice and crossbar and penalty decision that we should have had. Apparently it was a foot inside, but
yeah.
You know, it's just one of them games where you just hold your heads up high, and John praises at the end and says, you know, we've nothing to be sad about apart from, you know, obviously not going to the first round. But yeah, I think we're all disappointed, but with the performance we put in, I think we can only grow.
Absolutely.
And take that into the league.
Absolutely.
Hopefully push up there.
Absolutely, because I mean Kidderminster, they're going so strongly, you know, in the Premier there. It was incredible. What was the mood like after then? I mean, you've mentioned Dee kind of you know held you guys together, but it must have been a long journey to go home after a defeat like that.
Well, I didn't go back on coach, but apparently the new coach that picked us up when his coach broke down too. Taking them back, so as original coach,
so there's a delay again.
A delay again. So the original coach that broke down the first time had to come and pick the coach up that picked that one up. So, I think it was just rubbing salt in wound, to be honest. But apparently we got in. Well, I got in around 2:45. A few lads got in about 3:30, 3:45.
Oh dear.
But
it was still a great experience, so I suppose, you know, because Kidderminster, you know, the stadium, everything, it's good to kind of get your name in lights like that.
Yeah, it was a good atmosphere. Great to play in nights like that, so it's sort of, you know, you take them nights and to play in front of that every week, definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, the season in general, Chris, I mean, it started off, you know, I guess the form wasn't too great at the start, but it's an incredible run at the moment. What do you put that down to?
I think management. I think he's found the right balance. He's got the right players, the right squad, picking the right teams, and also the lads on the day. I think we've got a great changing room. Everyone gets along, and we're all there at training, and you know everyone enjoys going training. And I think to get that in the team, that standard is what you need. And I think we went 13 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
You know, I take Tuesday out of it, but I think that's what it is. I think all the lads are quite close now, and as longer the season is going on, all I can see is he's growing stronger and you know, doing better than we have been, which is going to be hard. But I think we can do it. We've got the players now. I don't know if he's bringing anyone in or you know if he's planning to. But I know that a few of the players that have been injured are coming back now, so it's only strengthening us. So it's good times ahead, really.
And in terms of your own personal form as well, I mean, you've been involved in some, late goals and in games. I mean, how do you view your own season? What are your goals personally for the rest of the season?
I mean, just carry on as I'm going. I mean, I've had trades off manager and stuff, and he's played me in numerous positions depending on who's being available, and I've just jumped to that, rose to the occasion and taken it, and I've enjoyed everywhere I've played. So all I can do now is just keep getting better and better as the season goes on, keep focused, and hopefully good things will come. Absolutely.
What's John Deasy like to play under? What kind of man is he in the dressing room?
John, he's a good man. He's not. He lets you. To be honest, he lets you play football.
Right.
He doesn't stop you. He lets you just do. Not say as you please, but he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
And he makes sure we know what he wants, and we just express ourselves on the pitch. And he loves that, and I think the football shows as well, especially after Tuesday. A lot of comments we're the best side we've played all season, and that's coming from second in Conference Premier supporters. So I think there's something to be proud about as well. So
absolutely, it's Gloucester up next. How do you see that one going, Chris?
Gloucester, optimistic. I think. We've just got to keep that consistency going and don't take them lightly, don't take his foot off gas. Go into the game as we did on Tuesday and Sunday, and I don't think we'll have a problem.
Right, looking at Bradford Park Avenue now, I'm delighted to say that joining us on the line now is our must-be very tired correspondent, Chris Bell. Hi, Chris.
You're all right, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Do you want to just, inform the listeners what time you crawled in Wednesday morning after the Kidderminster game? I saw your tweet. It looked quite brutal.
Yeah, it was a late night, shall we say, with the delayed kick-off and extra time.
Yeah.
Didn't get away from Kidderminster after sticking around to hear from Steve Burr. Didn't get away from Kidderminster till about 3:45, so I think by the time I actually got it, grabbed something to eat and got to bed, it was almost 4:45.
Wow, brutal. So you're just dedicated, aren't you, Chris? Just dedicated.
All in the name of football.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk us through the experience then, because obviously it was a really dramatic night. I mean, first with the delay and then the extra time. I mean, talk us through it. What were your emotions watching it?
It was just a bizarre evening, really. Just. Going from, around 7 o'clock-ish, I think it was, when we heard that the Park Avenue team bus had broken down about 15 or 20 miles away from Agborough, so that they were having to get another coach sent out from a coach company nearby to go and get them. And then, in turn, that initially pushed the kick-off back till 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then it was pushed back to 8:30 when they still hadn't arrived to come, so 7:30. And then it was brought forward for 8:15. The players didn't arrive until at 5:28, so they were literally out there for about 10 minutes or so of a warm-up, and that was it. That's all remarkable. And that was just a remarkable performance as well, all things considered. The lack of warming up, the lack of what you call match day preparation, shall we say. It was stunning. They hit the woodwork in the first half. They had 3 or 4 really good chances to get themselves level.
Yeah.
To get themselves ahead.
Yeah.
And, it continued through the second half. You expected Kidderminster to come into it a little bit more, which they did. They had chances themselves. Park Avenue, though, looked dangerous on the break. Somehow, by some utter miracle, didn't score when Alex Davidson got round the byline, came back into the 6-yard box, struck with the outside of his right foot, hit the far post, and 9 times out of 10 they would then bounce in. This one didn't. It bounced back across the line and just allowed the Kidderminster man to get rid. So, it was utterly unbelievable from that point of view. The chances that Park Avenue had over, the 180 minutes of football on Sunday and on Tuesday night was just unbelievable. And then obviously extra time, it was just that stage too far for them, really. There was a substitution made by Kidderminster right at the start of extra time. Marvin Johnson came on, and maybe...
Was it a fitness thing, do you think, partly, Chris, or...?
Possibly. I mean, this was the thing. I think when they brought Johnson on, he was absolutely lightning. Possibly made quicker by the fact that obviously Park Avenue would have been tiring slightly. Mm-hmm. But it was his pace that caused all kinds of problems in that first 15 minutes of extra time. And obviously it was Johnson's cross that fell to Amari Morgan-Smith to put the Harriers ahead after, a minute and a half maybe of extra time. And then it was Johnson himself that got on the score sheet about 9 minutes later when he turned on the edge of the 18-yard box, took an early turn and hit sort of thing, and it found a way past John Lamb. Beaten at his near post, though, it's one of those where you'd think, 9 times out of 10, John Lamb would be saving that. But I think it was just the fact that he took it so early. We didn't, he wouldn't have expected the shot to have come in the way it did. And it was that eventually beat them. Managed to pull one back, of course, through Chib Chalaka, who just stabbed in. I mean, I think during commentary, both myself and Bernard were pretty sure it was Alex Davidson's strike. But having talked to the other guys in the media area after the game, everybody seems relatively certain that Chib Chalaka just stuck her leg out, got a faintest touch on it, enough to divert it into to give them an equaliser. But no, I mean, Park Avenue can be so pleased with the way that they played over both the first and second game. They took, the second best team in non-league football, to extra time.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, you predicted last week, didn't you, that they'd put in a good performance, and they certainly did that. It was an admirable situation there. So, I mean, going into the next game against Gloucester, I mean, what do you think the mood's going to be with the players? Could this be a good time for Gloucester to actually play Park Avenue? I mean, from a fitness perspective and I suppose psychologically as well?
Well, from a fitness perspective... Possibly, although, I mean, on the way down to Kidderminster on Tuesday, there was a part of me that, was a little bit concerned about the fitness aspect.
Yeah.
Simply because, the part-time players up against full-time professional players, and, there was a part of me that was worried for Park Avenue in the sense that they could get outdone, in a fitness point of view, but, they miraculously went at it, gave it absolutely everything. That could obviously now be a downfall when it comes to Saturday's game, because after 120 minutes of football on Tuesday night, after playing just 2 days before, the last thing you want is another game quite this soon, really.
Yeah.
So but it's going to be a case of how can they bounce back from that defeat to Kidderminster, because the manner that they played in, they can be so proud of how they played. It's going to be hard now, though, to do that again, kind of thing.
Yeah,
to be able to put in a performance. And this is what's going to maybe play against them playing so well, is the fact that now Bradford Park Avenue fans, the supporters, have seen how well they can play against one of these top sides.
The standards have been set.
If they fail to live up to, that level of performance against the lesser sides, no disrespect to Gloucester, but the fourth bottom, in a bit of relegation scrap, shall we say.
Yeah.
This is a side that Park Avenue, would be beating easily, you'd say, on paper. More so now that we've seen how they can perform against a top side like Kidderminster. So it could add a little bit of extra pressure onto the Park Avenue players. That said, personally, I reckon they will take it. It won't be, the perfect performance that we've seen against Kidderminster in the cup games, but I do expect Park Avenue to get a win, even if they just have to grind it out 1-0, quite frankly.
Lovely. Well, we'll take that 1-0 to Park Avenue. Now, finally, Chris, how long is your bargain hunt episode on iPlayer for?
What day are we on?
4 days left, I think, haven't you? Monday?
Yeah, it was on Monday, so they've got another 3 or 4 days on iPlay for the bargain hunt episode, yeah.
There you go, listeners.
Its code name is Weatherby16.
Weatherby16, lovely. Fantastic. Chris, thanks very much for coming on.
No problem at all, mate. Absolute pleasure.
Take care, mate. See you later. Bye-bye. 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 OK, so there we go. That's Chris Bell. He's predicting a 1-0 close one to Bradford Park Avenue. Tim, just a quick comment on Park Avenue against Kidderminster. Tremendous effort, wasn't it? And bitterly disappointing that they didn't just cross the line at the end.
Yeah, well, I think you can hear, like John Deasy said earlier on in the season, that he wasn't overly concerned with the FA Cup, but I think he can be definitely proud of his players. Especially when you play on Sunday due to the fixture being moved, and then 2 days later you've got to go at it again against Kidderminster.
And the travelling,
the travelling as well, yeah, that's definitely going to take it out of them. I mean, it'd be interesting to know how many days training they're probably going to get this week. Because if they got back at 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning, part-time players. I'm going to stick by Park Avenue. I'm going to go 2-1.
You're going to go 2-1, lovely. What are you going to go for, Alex?
Well, based on the fact that they score goals every single week, I've gone for a 3-1.
3-1. You've got a bit of ropey form, haven't you, with West Yorkshire teams as well, haven't you, Alex?
I get a few wrong, yeah.
So can we just be clear, you said 3-1 Park Avenue?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. OK, well, we're going to have a look at the Championship now. We're going to start with Huddersfield Town, and joining us on the line, I'm delighted to say, is Doug Thompson from the Huddersfield Examiner. Hi, Doug.
Hiya, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So we have to start, obviously, with that West Yorkshire derby. Very exciting stuff. Huddersfield coming out on top, 3-2. How did you see the game? Was it a deserved win for Huddersfield, do you think?
Yeah, I think on balance it was. I mean, it was a fantastic game, to be honest. Really exciting, pretty open. Better than a lot of the recent derbies between Town and Leeds have been. And, on balance, Town deserved to win, really, for sheer persistence, if nothing else.
Absolutely, because obviously it ends a sequence of games without a victory.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was just getting to the slightly worrying stage. They haven't been playing poorly, but having said that, you need to get points on the board, obviously, and 2 league defeats in the games before that, a third would have been an absolute disaster, certainly at home to your big rivals. Conversely, I think this has given them, a real confidence boost, and hopefully, we can carry that on into the next couple of games now.
Absolutely, and obviously it shows that they can cope without Vaughan as well.
Yeah, I mean, not only Vaughan, but obviously the background of the game, they were without Patterson, Anthony Gerrard, Adam Clayton, 3 players who have been regulars, both called by the manager to they did. Realistically, they're without sort of 4 regular players for that game.
Absolutely. And that leaves Huddersfield now in 9th place. And up next, it's Wigan. Wigan not doing fantastically well themselves. Owen Cole adjusting to life there. And they're also in the Europa League. And they've obviously just played against QPR as well. How do you see that one going, Doug?
Well, hopefully, they'll be slightly jaded and Town can take advantage. I mean, it's a hell of a schedule for Wigan this season, isn't it? Not only are they in the Europa League, but they're making at least 3 journeys abroad, and some quite long-distance hauls in and amongst them. That's obviously had a knock-on effect in the sense of playing certain league games on a Sunday. They've obviously had to fit in other league games, and because they were in the Community Shield as well, which took up another weekend. Hence why they were in action on Wednesday. Nobody else in the Championship was. So, it's a really busy schedule. People say they've got a big squad, but on paper it's not that large if you actually look at it. It will take a bit of juggling by Owen Cole to sort of, to keep everybody fresh and to keep them going. They've got a few injuries as well. That always doesn't necessarily mean anything, but, hopefully Town can go there and take advantage. It's certainly a fighting chance of getting something from that game, I think.
Absolutely. And it seems with Huddersfield as well, I mean, despite results in the last few weeks, it hadn't really gone for them before that Leeds game. They've still been putting in the performances, haven't they? You still always believe that they're in a game and they can win it.
Oh, certainly. I mean, they haven't been, sort of thrashed by anybody at all this season. You always sort of compare games to the year before when you play the same team. And I think in some of the matches that they've narrowly lost, they would certainly have lost more heavily the season before. Maybe they've become a bit more sort of Championship savvy, if you like. They've got used to what's expected, how to sort of close games down, and really just performing better in defence. And I think also in midfield, I think they're getting to grips with the midfield battle, often the key to matches, isn't it? And they're getting more of a grip in midfield this time, and that's helping the defence really. And Smithies has been in good form in goal as well. So it's good going. The goal difference is certainly far healthier than it was last season.
Absolutely, and Danny Ward as well. He's working hard, isn't he? There's an article, isn't there, in the Examiner about Ward and the effort that he's putting in. Robbins seems pleased with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a really good player, Danny. I think he'd be the first to admit that he's been inconsistent. I think Robbins called it hit and miss. And it has probably been a bit more miss than hit over the years. It's frustrating because, when you see him on form, he's a great player. He's got a fantastic shot on him, and he's got a lot of ability, a bit like Sean Scannell in a way. You just want to sort of prize that consistency out of him. And hopefully his confidence will be high after the last couple of games. He's got a couple of goals now this season. He looks to be sort of enjoying his football, which isn't always the case with Danny. Sometimes he can look a bit sort of, lacking confidence, basically. He's sort of in his shell a little bit during games. But, certainly after his goal against Leeds last week, he seemed to sort of come out of himself and really enjoying himself.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also been other, I don't know, this could be Twitter talk, on the forum talk, problems with Adam Clayton.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of rumours going around about a training ground bust-up between Clayton and Patterson, which it does seem to have some legs, from what we'll. Whatever the reason, you'll never get Matt Robbins to sort of come out publicly and say what happened. But reading between the lines, it certainly sounds like something has gone on. I think in Anthony Gerrard's case, it was more a sort of response to the previous week's game at Leicester, when he wasn't too happy with his form, and maybe just a couple of sort of general things about Gerrard and the way he's been approaching things. Yeah. But yeah, certainly with Clayton and Patterson, it does seem to have happened. It's going to be very interesting to see whether they come back into the fold, really. It's when you're already without your top scorer, to sort of rule out another three experienced and regular players, it's a brave call by the manager.
Absolutely. So it points to something serious, doesn't it, then?
Well, reading between the lines, you would have thought it was something fairly serious, yeah. I think Gerrard's maybe a different case, I think, we could certainly see him again, when he gets back into a bit of form and, sharpens up a little bit. Having said that, I don't think he's played that badly, to be honest, Gerrard, over the season as a whole. Maybe at Leicester, he was at fault a couple of times, and that was quite costly.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what develops over there during the course of a few weeks. So against Wigan, then, there's a good chance you think that Huddersfield may be able to get a second win on the bounce?
Well, hopefully. I mean, Wigan have still got a pretty good home record. They're quite strong at home. Up until the last couple of games, they've scored quite a few goals as well. They've had two goalless draws running now. But yeah, I think it's a good time to be playing them, really. Town in confidence, and hopefully, them being a little bit jaded.
OK, let's have a look at the Championship now, and you two are going to be rubbing your hands together at this one. So it was West Yorkshire Derby last weekend, and Huddersfield 3-2 winners. We've heard from Doug Thompson. He says Huddersfield deserved it. Tim, is that how you saw that one?
Yeah, I do. I think Huddersfield, it was a tight game, but the fact that they managed to keep going all the way to the end, and even when Leeds scored the first one, and they fought their way back into it, didn't they?
Yeah, they started off the same way they had done against Birmingham, Leeds, and then they kind of just they put the foot off the pedal, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I think that I agree with Brian McDermott when he said they didn't do the right things defensively. They did just the odd couple of things that they just got wrong, didn't they?
Yeah. Alex, what did you make of the derby then? What are your thoughts
cracking
about
game. I got my prediction totally wrong, saying it'd be 0-0.
And the player sent off.
No, great result for Huddersfield without James Vaughan. What do you think's going wrong with Leeds? And
I don't necessarily think. I tell you one thing that's happened with Leeds. I don't know if you heard about Brian McDermott was on the Footballers Football show, is it called?
Yeah.
And he said that Leeds don't actually have a scouting system, which is incredible. They don't even have a scout at the club. I think if he's given time, he's going to reshape the entire club, but it's going to take time, and we're definitely a work in progress. So I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong. I just think the club have been completely mismanaged.
Just needs a lot of changing.
Basically. Well, yeah, it does. But institutionally as well, scouting, youth development. Well, not so much youth development. We're pretty good there, but scouting, certainly.
You brought in a good international defender from used to play for Hearts captain, haven't you?
Yes, that's
Zaliukas, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So that's
Glad you could pronounce his name.
I know.
I tried reading it and I just went, what?
I doubt that is.
But it's a difficult one. I don't think we're going to rip up any trees this season. I think just a mid-table and build. We've got some exciting youth. You mentioned it when I saw you today. Mowart's made the under-19 England team,
good for him.
And he looks different class, doesn't he? Except on Football Manager.
Except for football.
Don't you think they should be pushing more this season? Last season we're consolidating, wasn't it?
I think we still can. I think if we get it right, I think January signing's possible. The youth, the players, the young players, getting more experience. I still think we may do that, but I'm not too downhearted if we don't, to be honest.
Blackstock's a good signing, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's first touch. First touch, and it was in. So it's Leeds up against Yeovil Town next. How do you see that one going, fellas?
Well, Yeovil have only won once away this season, so that's going to be going to Elland Road.
That was the first game of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But then again, they have picked out some results like this 3-1 against Notts Forest.
Yeah, I mean that's impressive, isn't it?
So, which was in a previous game.
Yeah.
Wayne Hennessy's still there, and I think that I think I'd probably go 2-1 Leeds. 2-1
Leeds. What are you saying, Alex?
I think it'll be quite comfortable. I think they'll bounce back and win 2-0. I think Blackstock will get another goal, and maybe that new defender will play and get a clean sheet.
Yeah, it's I've gone 3-1 Leeds. I think it'd be quite comfortable. Actually, I think they'll get their act sorted out. Aidy White's gone on loan to Sheffield United. He's not one of the young players who seems to have made it. Maybe no future at the club. Possibly.
I've seen it plenty of times where they fall out of favour, go on loan, do really well, and then come back into the team.
Yeah. I think Neil Warnock's fault, isn't it, really? I mean, he was playing at left-back and he was growing at left-back.
You loved him a year or two back.
Yeah, I still think there's something there, but obviously...
It could be Aidy White, though, because, I mean, he said that he wants to play games, and, he's looking for first-team football, so...
He's the one he might have pushed for it.
Yeah, I mean, well, Nigel Clough will have seen him before, won't he?
Yeah, well, he tried to get him at Derby when he was contract were running out. Huddersfield Town, then, they hadn't won in a lot of games, but they're playing good football, and they're probably unlucky in a couple of those games as well. They're up against Wigan. Wigan, they've not set the world alight, but a bit of a sleeping giant. Do you think they're ready to get some form together? What kind of job is Coyle doing there?
At Wigan, well... They've obviously got they're in Europe as well, which I think every single game is making half a dozen changes, so they never have the best team out in one game.
No.
But I said at the start of the season, if they were in the squad they've got, they should easily be top 6.
Yeah.
With Huddersfield, I think last season they got a lot of hammerings.
Yeah.
And since Robbins has come and has been there a few months now, if they get beaten, it's rarely by a big goal margin. So
it's good football as well, isn't it, Tim? That Huddersfield are playing at the minute.
It is good football. Yeah, there's some class goals that have been picked out, hasn't there? But then they're still doing the basic things, right? Like scoring from headers and stuff like that from corners.
Beating Leeds 3-2.
Beating Leeds 3-2, doing the basics. Yeah.
So Huddersfield Wigan. Then how do we fancy that one, Alex?
I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
You've gone for a 1-1 draw. What have you gone for, Tim?
Sorry, Huddersfield. I've gone 1-0 Wigan.
1-0 Wigan. I've gone 2-2 on that one. OK, we're going to have a look at Bradford City now, and joining us on the line is our Bradford City correspondent, it's Pete Chapman. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Stephen.
So things have kind of changed for City in the last few games without a winning 4 now, and that tough loss against Wolves. What did you make of that one?
I think that there were 3 key things in the game. For the first 15-20 minutes, City completely dominated it. They were 1-0 up. Then Kenny Jackett changed his system. Instead of being 4-5-1, he went more or less 4-4-2. Brought on Doyle. And that Wolves just overran City then. Scored a fortunate first goal, and then got another one very quickly afterwards. But then second half was all Bradford, and quite honestly, there's a definite penalty in there. Yet again, and Bradford haven't had a single penalty this season, and there are some that are just so obvious that you wonder what the referee and the assistants are actually looking at.
Yeah, keeper went out, didn't he? And there's contact with Reed. Oh,
yeah. And apparently the Wolves players were joking about it afterwards.
Oh dear.
Hi Pete, it's Tim.
Hiya.
We were, well, from where I was sat at the for the Kyle Reid penalty, Kyle Reid definitely left his leg in to get tripped up by the keeper, and it was interesting. My dad afterwards asked me if it was a penalty or not, and I said to him, it depends what you consider a penalty to be. If there's any contact in the box at all and the player goes down, if that's a penalty, you consider that a penalty, that's a penalty. But if you think a player leaves his foot in and you class it as a dive, then it'd be interesting to, like, what do you think? Do you think it's any contact?
There was definitely contact. We were discussing it before the full party came over today, and I think Simon Parker from the TNA made a very good point that the keeper comes out with such force doesn't get anywhere near the ball and takes Reed out. Therefore, it's a penalty. Whatever's happened, and even Parkinson himself said he's not interested in how Reed went down, how theatrical it was, how slow it was. He was taken out, therefore it's a penalty.
I must say, watching it back, I did watch it quite a few times on the highlights on the internet, and at the time it didn't feel as fast as it was, but watching the camera angle that it was on, Kyle Reid did seem to be sprinting quite fast as well. So, but like I said, from where we sat, it looked like he'd left a foot in at the time.
Well, we were saying today, it all seemed to happen so slowly at the time that it did look like it may be been manufactured, but when you watch it again, there's a definite contact there that there's nothing else can happen. And I think the worst thing is when you look at then on Match of the Day later that night, when you see the penalty that Hull get given against them, and you think, well, that's got given. How come Bradford haven't had a single penalty this year?
What did the manager have to say about it, Pete?
I asked him again today, and he said he's still livid about it 5 days later. He's made they have made a complaint about it, and they've named several other refereeing decisions, which I think Bradford City fans will be all too aware of what bad decisions there have been at Valley Parade so far this season, and that they've all been mentioned in the complaint.
Positive, Wells coming back, he had a couple of chances, didn't he, as well?
And the thing that I noticed most about it when he came on in the second half was what was a congested midfield, and suddenly there was space everywhere, and he seems to have a telepathic thing with Hansen about knowing where the ball was going to be, but also he's got that extra yard of pace compared to Mark Yates, Gary Thompson, and he can be there wherever the ball's going. And he had a couple of chances. I think a fully fit or fully match fit Wells might want to put one away, but you have to say that the Wolves keeper, having just criticised him, made a brilliant double save from Wells in the second half. And
it's Crewe up next. How do you see that one going, Crewe? Bit of a dodgy team. They're lying quite low in the league at the moment.
They are. They're a team that I think are low on confidence, but when they score, you do see them, the confidence surge through them. So I think the key for Bradford will be to score early and keep pressing and get Crewe doubting themselves. And there's 3 points, and as you mentioned at the start, only 1 point out of the last 12. It's not really good enough, and they want to keep in that top 6, especially going to Rotherham in the Cup the following week.
Absolutely. Crewe, a bit of a strange one as well out there. I think the team you mentioned that they've got 5 different goal scorers on 2 goals.
Yeah, the leading scorers on 2 goals, which turns out there's 5 players on 2 goals, 3 strikers, 1 defender and a midfielder. So
I think they are a sort of, if you like, classic lower league side in that they haven't got a big catchment area to bring fans in, so they're never going to make money from their crowd, big money anyway, and they survive on producing players like Nick Powell, etc., that they can sell on then for big money. And they do it very well. They've survived and run a solvent club for many years.
Pete, if I have to push you for a prediction, what would you going to say?
I think a City win, but it'll be narrow. It'll be 1-0, 2-1, something like that.
Lovely. Pete, thanks very much, mate.
OK, you're welcome.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. OK, there we go. We've heard from our Bradford City correspondent, Pete Chapman. Obviously, we'll talk about that penalty. So, Tim, you're not completely sure, despite being a Bradford City fan, you think Reed may have done that. It's a modern thing now, isn't it, of players putting their leg in so they get tripped. And at that speed, it's difficult to assess something like that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's just, I think it's also the way that he went down as well. But my only concern is with this complaint thing as well is I don't know about you, Alex, but I'm starting to worry that some other teams might start considering us as a bit of a mourning club. Do you know one that's always like complaining and...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, isn't there a danger, Alex, of becoming a bit of a chip on the shoulder type club? Everyone's against us, and we can't get the refereeing decisions, or is it justified? I mean, what did you think of the penalty?
I think it's justified. I'm just worried that we're going to start looking like that to other clubs.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much it's going to help us with Parkinson coming out, making a point of it. I'm not even sure how convinced he was that the one on Saturday was a penalty, but...
Is it a good excuse to say they've lost and...
not just that, but we've had plenty where I think Gillingham away was the most blatant penalty we've seen, and we didn't get it. So I think it's just reinforcing the point that we've not had one yet, and just putting extra pressure on the refs. I think
doesn't look even itself out. the cup run last year, and now you just kind of...
Was that luck?
But it's interesting, though, because it seems to have changed now, Tim. It seems to that great momentum that they had, and now, no wins in 4. It's not too big of a problem. I mean, they're still in 6th, but you wouldn't want to kind of have any more games without a win, would you?
No, I think we do definitely need to start picking up some momentum again. But you consider the last 3 teams that we've played. Crawley, they were in top half of the table last year. Preston, that a solid 2-2 draw on Tuesday night.
That great team, Tranmere.
Yeah. Well, Well, Tranmere, saying that, they were up there last year as well, but they fell away, didn't they? So I think
they've beaten MK Dons and drawn to Rotherham since they beat us. So
they've found some form. But I don't think any City fans need to be downhearted at the way that it's gone. I think we've definitely... You could probably argue we might have overachieved in the first half of the season, which is probably why we look so good as we do. But, you can think of it glass half empty, where we're 28 points from safety. Yeah, which is a good thing to be at. And then you can look on for the rest of the season. But
we're still in the playoffs after a bad run. I'd like to see us get a clean sheet and...
Do you think
stop the goals going in a bit?
That's what. Do you agree with Tim? Think that maybe they overachieved in the first, at the start of the season?
No, I think we're where we should be. Really, I think, as I just said, we got a good point at Preston. Yeah, had a goal disallowed to win it, and then Wolves, we could have easily got an equaliser second half. So, and in terms, I'd be more worried if we were playing poorly. But apart from Tranmere, where we didn't create that much, even Crawley, we could have scored plenty. I think we're doing fine.
Just hit a bad bit of luck, I think. Really, I think sometimes you got to put football down to some luck, and on a different day, maybe a different team, exactly the same situation, they'd have got a penalty. Yeah. But,
I'd rather have this bad run now than say April or something.
Christmas time, yeah.
And Wells coming back. I mean, as Pete said, as soon as Wells came on, they looked a bit more stretched with Wolves. I mean, he's a tremendously influential player, isn't he?
Yeah, I think. From where I was at, Wolves were a bit worried to go forward after that. As soon as, because I mean, they got a few chances in second half, but there weren't many. But I think as soon as Wells came on, that pace, it kind of made them think twice about trying to get as far forward.
There's always a threat. He gets involved every time.
I was speaking to someone. They said he should have done better with the chances, but I thought it was difficult. I don't think he could have done much more with them, to be honest.
No, it kept it in the target.
People will want to say, he's rusty, but it doesn't necessarily mean he is.
No, the thing that I love about Wells is when he starts running around and starts causing confusion between the defenders and the goalkeeper. We've seen quite a few goals where he scored from that, and I think that's what Wolves are a bit wary of as well. And I think Crewe, exactly the same, need to be a bit wary of that.
Well, speaking of the Crewe game, what's his predictions, fellas? And I'll start with you, Tim. How do you see that one going?
I think we're going to sneak a 1-0. I'm a bit nervous about this one.
Alex?
I've gone for 2-1, but can we use that prediction thing as Wells to score and City to win 2-1?
All right, okay, so you're saying...
is that your betting slip?
Are you
Wells to score and City to win.
Wells to score and City to win. Okay, yeah, that's... Are you going to write that down? You write that down on your sheet. So if you get it wrong, do you get a minus? Yeah. All right, then, fair enough.
Not necessarily. I've put 2-1, but Wells to score and City to win.
Wells to score, City to win. I've put 1-1. So yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. OK, we're going to have a look at Halifax Town now, and I'm delighted to say joining us on the line is our Halifax Town correspondent. It's Andrew Pinfield. Hi, Andrew.
Evening, Steve.
Thanks for joining us. So, Halifax, FA Cup, they're through for Ray. Lee Gregory scoring again as they beat Nuneaton 2-0. So it's all looking rosy at the moment?
Yeah, it was a particularly good performance at Nuneaton. When we played them in the league, we suffered a late setback when they scored in the 93rd minute after we'd scored in the 92nd minute. So going away from home, we know about our away record this season. And finally, I'm pleased to say we've actually won an away game, and it was well-deserved. Lee Gregory is in great form at the moment. He scored early doors, and then Scott McManus scored a stunning goal second half to see us through to the first round. So it was a comfortable 2-0 away win. And what was even more pleasing was the performance, because we dominated throughout, kept the clean sheet, got that away win, albeit in the FA Cup, and through to the next round. Yeah,
exciting stuff. And now it's MK Dons up next. What do you fancy the chances against the Dons?
Well, that's going to be very, very difficult, isn't it? Obviously, they're in the Football League, in the First Division. mid-table as well. You know, they're not struggling. It's going to be one game that we can, I won't say relax, but we can go there as complete underdogs. Nobody's expecting a result whatsoever. So we can go to the MK Dons, and maybe, you just never know, it's the FA Cup, there are shocks in the Cup, and if we can get them back to the show and force a replay, that'll be a good result. Absolutely, because the prize money now for the next round, I think it's been estimated around £18,000. That's invaluable, isn't it? It is to clubs like ourselves, Steve, because we can't just rely on gate receipts. You've got commercial income, but the FA Cup prize money, like you say, is very welcome to a club at our level. We've got £12,500 from Saturday's win at Nuneaton. Fantastic. If you do get the 17.5 from the next round, and it's 30 grand, and with a split of the gate receipts as well, it comes in very useful. It does. The chairman will be rubbing his hands, won't he? Well, it might give Lee... Well, he always backs Neil Aspin bringing players in, but we know that the playing squad at the moment is down to 18, 19, so it might just give us manoeuvre to bring another couple of players in, which every club likes to have. Maybe a couple of loans, something like that. Yeah, well, we've got the loan market to explore. I know Neil Aspin has been busy in the last couple of weeks trying to bring a couple of players in, and it's this bit of reluctance when they are at full-time clubs to come to Halifax Town, because we are obviously still part-time status. Yeah. And a lot of the players from the Football League clubs are wanting to play at full-time level, and that's the setback if they were to come to the show. And it's Alfreton Town next in the league. How do you see that one going, Andrew? Be a very tight game indeed. Alfreton are very good at home, like we're good at home. We're on the same number of points, 25 each. We're 11th in the table, they're 12th in the table. So if you're looking at league table alone, it suggests that it'll be a very, very close thing. So if we can get the draw, that'll be a decent result, and a win will be fantastic. Fantastic. So what result would you say there, Andrew? Well, now we've got that first away win, why don't we go on back-to-back away wins? So let's hope that Town sneak it by the odd goal. Let's go for a 2-1 win. Fantastic. We'll take that. Andrew, thanks a lot, mate. Yeah, take care now. Goodbye. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye. So there we go. We've just heard from Andrew Pinfield all about Halifax Town, their cracking win against Nuneaton, sees them up against the MK Dons in the first round for real in the FA Cup. But looking to that league game, Alfreton Town, I've gone 2-1. I agree with Andrew, and just to be clear, I wrote that down before he said his prediction, so don't accuse me of copying him. Tim, how do you see that one going then? What have you gone for score-wise there? Well, every time we say that, it's going to be tight with Halifax and someone else. They always end up blowing them out of the water or something, don't they? So I've gone for 2-0 Halifax. You've gone for 2-0 Halifax. Alex? I've gone for 1-1 draw. 1-1 draw, OK, good stuff. OK, we're going to have a look at Guiseley now, and I'm delighted to say joining us on the line is Colin Robertson. Hi, Colin. Hi, Stephen, how are you? I'm good, thank you. And you're currently just fixing some IKEA furniture together, I believe, aren't you? Yeah, other brands of home furniture are available, yeah, but I'm busy looking at the pictures and wondering what they actually mean. It's okay, we can tag IKEA into this podcast now, you know, it might get a few more downloads. So, Colin, guys, they've not played for a couple of weeks, obviously, and they had that cracking win against North Ferriby last time out, but some news has come out this week. They've re-signed Danny Forrest from Workington. Yeah, interesting signing, actually. Danny's been doing well over at Workington. I think he was a big loss for them. Darren Edmondson, I think, was very disappointed to see him go. So it's interesting, but obviously he's based over this way, so it'll be good to see how he sets back in. Player was plagued with injury problems, or was he, when he was last with us. So didn't get much game time towards the end of his spell. No. Guiseley, but he seems to have got over that. That's right, and Guiseley continue to add to the squad, aren't they? And things seem to have just turned around a little bit, don't there? There's a bit of optimism around the club now, isn't there? Yeah, there is. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Week in, week out, we've had this conversation. There's been nothing happening, but on field. I mean, yeah. Obviously, we had that great win at Ferriby last time we spoke. That was just a couple of days after that, but then nothing for 7 to 9 days. And it's a long break in football at this time of the season. It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit of a strange time, isn't it? Not to be playing, and of course it's Barrow up next. What do you expect with that one, Colin? Tough game. This time last year it was an FA Cup first round proper tie, and we knew it was going to be hard then, and they were struggling in the Conference National at that time, and put up a game that we should have won and almost got ourselves into the second round proper of the Cup. It's going to be a much more low-key affair, I think, on Saturday compared to that, but crucial for both sides.
absolutely crucial. Guiseley need to get a win. Barrow right down there struggling as well. So I think it's going to be a really tough tie. And
more good news with Swain's loan extended until December as well.
Yeah, until Boxing Day. That is good news, because I think he's impressed me when he's come on, and a few of the crowd are behind him. Between Swain and Alex Johnson, I think we'd unearthed a couple of loanee signings. Obviously, AJ's come on permanent deal now. So I think it's beginning to take shape up front again, and I think that was where we were really light earlier on. Phil Marsh has gone off and loan with Stalybridge Celtic, so it looks like he's making a move away from the club now. So it seems to me all positive in terms of changing the pack up front.
Yes.
But we'll just have to see how it plays out. We've only had the one win. I think I was in euphoric mood last Thursday, but we've only had the one win, since August.
Yeah, that's true.
And defeat against Barrow on Saturday, and all that negativity returns, and it all returns back down to being a sort of, here we go again.
I suppose that's the key now, is getting a bit of consistency, isn't it? And if he can get a few wins under the belt, otherwise, as you say, if he, the losses start to pile up again, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, and I'm sure, obviously Mark's going to get his side up and ready for that game. He's got to make sure that they're 100% focused on getting a result and go about it in as professional performance as we possibly can. They'll be looking at us and thinking they can get 3 points out of us.
Absolutely.
And that's the truth. So we're really tough.
So if I have to push you for a score, Colin, what would you say?
I fear a draw. But I'm going to be positive. I'm going to go for a 2-0 to Guiseley. It's long since come. We haven't had a home win since that game against Workington. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Guiseley. It's rarely that I'm so positive. So.
Excellent. Colin, thanks very much for joining us. I'll let you get back to assembling your IKEA furniture.
Yeah, well,
and good luck with that.
Yeah, if you can tell me what this with the speech bubble and the exclamation mark means, answers on a postcard.
Yeah, we'll get them to tweet in. We'll get listeners to tweet in with answers. You never know, Colin.
Yeah, never know. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, thanks a lot.
Cheers,
take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so that was Colin Robertson there with his thoughts on Guiseley's upcoming match with Barrow. Prediction time, fellas. What are you going for, Tim?
Well, both teams have struggled to score goals. And both have struggled to win, really, between the two of them, so I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
You've gone for a 1-1 draw. Alex, what do you fancy?
Yeah, I think the last couple of games, Guiseley have been in better form than Barrow, so I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 to Guiseley.
I've gone 3-1 Guiseley. 3-1 Guiseley, so we'll see. I fancy put a few away. OK, so we're going to have a look at the Premiership fixtures for the weekend, but first, let's revisit last week's predictions. Alex, you've won the second week on the trot. You're sitting pretty at the top of the table there, 6 points. It's all rosy, isn't it?
Yeah, just need a bit more competition.
Oh, yeah, this time.
Rivals go up to the plate a bit.
It's a bit too easy, isn't it? Do you expect Man United type domination then?
The old Man United, yeah.
Tim, we're sitting on 1 point apiece, aren't we? We need to get us that together, don't we?
We do. I'm throwing caution to the win this week on my predictions.
Oh,
for the Premier League, guys.
Fair enough. I like it, because although one thing we got right, we said there were going to be lots of goals. You didn't go for as many goals, did you, Alex?
No.
But you got probably more results right.
Yeah, I didn't do as well as the first week, but...
You got every Saturday result right, though.
Yeah.
Premiership.
Well, as you said, Tim got more results correct than me, but...
Yeah.
It's a shame I didn't say the extra 5 points, saying that SAS would have done it, because it was Sturridge and Suarez who all scored
the
goals.
Newcastle one, Tim, like I said on the blog, you let your heart rule your head. Look what happened. You could have beaten him. So let's start with this week's fixtures then. It's Newcastle Chelsea. Newcastle, it's been a bizarre week, hasn't it, with the banning the press, a couple of journalists. It's not very good, is it?
No, well, it's just same old up in Newcastle, really. Isn't it? It's just
something seems to happen every 2 or 3 months with them, doesn't it?
It does. It just seems like I mean, it was a couple of seasons ago that everything was going rosy, absolutely fantastic, sitting high in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And fans absolutely loving having Mike Ashley, and now suddenly just finds ways, doesn't he? I think Newcastle got something to think about this week, because it was mentioned in the paper on Thursday that Alan Pardew has become one of the targets of Crystal Palace, so that would be
really,
yeah. So it cost.
He used to play for him.
I think it cost.
Did it?
Yeah, so I think it cost Crystal Palace a lot of money to pay out his 8-year contract or whatever he's got left.
Absolutely.
But I think if things aren't going too well up at Newcastle, that he ain't fully comfortable with it, then you can see why he would want to jump ship.
Yeah,
probably move on.
What do you make of this week with all the banning of journalists? And
I won't leave Newcastle for Palace, but I suppose if he used to play for him and he's from London and his job's not secure at Newcastle, it's possible, but
you may think,
be surprised.
Get out of there, Will I can. Chelsea, of course, beating Manchester City last weekend. I've got a feeling it looks to me like the Mourinho factor's really kicking in now. We're going to see a very consistent Chelsea.
They've got some momentum now, haven't they?
They're going to be.
Torres played well last game.
I mean, Alex, how hard is it going to be to knock Chelsea now?
Well, yeah, even midweek when they made all those changes, they've still got a really good, strong, experienced team, haven't they? So
you can bring Mata in and he scores a goal like that. It speaks.
Yeah, even bit part players like Mikel and stuff. It's still stronger than someone like Arsenal who have to bring the youth players through as backup.
Mourinho, Chelsea can what do you think, Tim? Can anyone stop them this season?
I think they're going to start getting into the stride, and it's going to be quite dangerous, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it was in the paper on Thursday. I think it was Azpilicueta or Juan Mata or one of them said that they have the best second team in the Premier League. Turns out they don't. Man City do, but they seem to gel a bit more than the second team for Man City. I think they seem to work a lot better. I mean, in the League Cup on Wednesday night against Newcastle, Man City didn't really seem to do that much until David Silva came on, and then that started to mix things up a little bit. But yeah, I think Chelsea are a force to be reckoned with at the moment.
Well, this is a type of thing when I look at the consistency, I go, that's Mourinho, and you have to say, what a fantastic manager, really. I mean, the consistency that he brings from team and the motivation is.
You might not like his tactics, but the fact that players like him, players want to play for him. I mean, again, in the papers this week, Balotelli wants Mourinho to pick him up again. He wants to go to Chelsea. Apparently, does Balotelli?
Well, he's fixed one striker, Torres. I mean, that was a turnaround performance, wasn't it? And he looks a physical player now, doesn't he? He's not a lightweight anymore.
Yeah, I think he needs something to happen early in the game for him to not wake up. But I think there was a Europa game last season where he got booted in the face.
Maybe Mourinho should just do that. Boot him in the face in the changing room.
He did. He just played a lot better.
Yeah.
And I just think he needs that bit between his teeth.
Yeah.
But I think there was that game against Man City and Norwich as well a few weeks ago where they've not deserved to win, but they get a result.
So Newcastle, Chelsea. Then I've gone for 3-1 Chelsea. I can't see any other result there. Tim, what about yourself?
Don't ask Alex.
Don't let that happen.
Well, I think as Newcastle went to extra time in the week and they're all over the place a bit now, losing to Sunderland as well. I think it'll be comfortable, and I think it'll be 2-0 Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea. Tim.
Heart rolling ahead. They've done it before. I'll put Newcastle 2-0.
Newcastle 2-0. Chelsea not even to score. Fair enough. That's your answer. You cannot change it now, Tim.
0 points for that one. I can't.
You never know.
You know, it's one of them that might come off.
You never know. Now, Man City, Norwich. A big talking point for Man City this week is obviously Joe Hart, the situation there. What did you think of the incident? Completely his fault? Is he as bad as
all the expert pundits said it was Hart's fault, didn't they?
Yeah. Do you agree with that then?
Just like a lot. I think Wells has scored 5 just like that, where he just puts that pressure on the defender and the keeper.
Why did Nastasic head it back though?
What do you want him to do?
Well, I don't know.
He's not just staring at keeper thinking, he's come out, I'm going to head it past him, is he?
But why couldn't he keep going though?
What do you mean?
Well, like the ball's coming over him, so why couldn't he just
shield it, you mean?
Yeah, or something like, or boot it, or just not head it towards your own goal without looking.
Joe Hart was obviously to blame a little bit, but I've never been a big fan of Nastasic as a defender anyway. I mean, I think Joe Hart well, it was noticed, not a match of the day. He did say, I said leave it or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was Owen who said you'd never air it, though.
Yeah, but isn't this a case of... there seems to be a bit of an agenda against Joe Hart. Because he's been very successful. I think there seems to be some kind of agenda where every little thing's been picked up.
All the questions to Manuel Pellegrini that were on the news and everything this week have all been, are you going to drop Joe Hart? Are you going to drop Joe Hart? Now, surely as English journalists, they should be wanting the English keeper, the England number one, in the net week in, week out. Why don't they want it? Is that
nature?
It's just stupid.
If he had stayed in his net, though, the ball would... He'd have picked the ball up.
But the ball's coming over the top. Maybe he thought he could get to the ball, or
but the defender.
Why did the
he was in control? The defender, though. If it's bouncing, there's a striker behind him.
But you
can't think, keep.
But how difficult is it to just look? The keeper's run out, right?
Because then his eyes off the ball, and the striker might nip in.
Well, I think that's poor. Defending.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a bit of both. But
yeah. I think to absolutely hammer Joe Hart and Nastasic gets
to run out when the defender's when the defender is in control.
I think I agree. I think it's a poor decision, but I think it still could have been avoided. Why he heads it so close to the goal? I don't think it's a blatant keeper's fault. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So Pellegrini at Man City, then it's a bit disappointing. Then, is it? They keep threatening. You think, they're going to get a bit of form together, and then it just, doesn't seem to happen, does it?
No, I think they were lucky against Newcastle on Wednesday. I'm not saying that as like a one-sided thing, but I mean, Sammy Obi's first goal was well offside. But if Cisse had hit the target from there, it'd have probably gone in. Pantilimon did make a good save in the second half, but again, you should. The amount that Cisse is on, he should have scored from there.
Yeah. I think he'll drop out Saturday.
Yeah, do you think that's...
Yeah.
Well, I've gone 3-0 to Man City for this one.
I've gone 4-0.
You've gone 4-0.
I've gone 3-0.
3-0 as well. Okay.
Shall we say that? Shall we all put a point on the line for who's going to be in net? I'll say Pantilimon.
Yeah, well, I would say Joe Hart's dropped as well. Tim?
I'd say he's going to get Joe Hart one last chance. Because it's against Norwich.
I'm going to put sub-keeper on mine because I don't know the name of that keeper. And Tim, if you put Joe Hart, and then you can put the other one. Okay. Hull versus Sunderland. Hull unlucky against Spurs last week, but they're doing themselves justice against a reinvigorated Sunderland.
I'll start with this if you want.
Yeah,
I've gone for a Sunderland win.
You've gone for a Sunderland win. You think Poyet will nick another one?
even before the derby, when the teams came out, I did like the look of Sunderland's team that day. He'd brought in players that Decaney had left out.
Yeah.
Hull have had 2 really hard games at Tottenham, one midweek as well, extra time.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good timing for Sunderland, and I think they'll nick it 1-0.
Yeah, I agree. I've gone for 2-1 Sunderland.
I've gone 2-1 Sunderland.
You've gone 2-1 Sunderland as well. Stoke City versus Southampton. How do we say this one, fellas?
Yawn first.
Yeah.
I think that's got 0-0 written all over it. Stoke are going to defend as well as they can, because they know that Southampton are going to absolutely come and try and just suffocate them with possession.
Yeah.
And Southampton, I think, what are they, third in Europe or something with goal conceding or something.
And as I predicted last week, they conceded 3.
So I've gone 0-0 there.
Yeah, 0-0.
I'm worried it's going to be like when we all thought West Brom were going to win at Stoke, but I do think Southampton have a bit more of them than West Brom, so I've gone 1-0 Southampton.
Do you think Stoke are relegation candidates? I do. I think they're in a really...
Even though they got 2 at Man U, I don't know where the goals are going to come from. And even Shawcross said when they conceded, was it 4 at 3 or 4 at Birmingham, that they're not defending properly now, and that's their main strength.
If this doesn't work out for Mark Hughes at Stoke, as he done as a top level manager, he won't get any more opportunities, will he?
Could go to Holland like Steve McLaren did.
Yeah. And then Germany gets
practice his Dutch.
Yeah, practice his Dutch. West Brom, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, I thought, did well against Arsenal. They had more chances than Arsenal there. West Brom obviously got a thumping at Liverpool, so they'll be looking to put that one right out. How do we see that one going?
I've gone for a 2-1 win to West Brom.
Well, I've gone 2-0 West Brom.
I fancy West Brom this season. They do have a bit about them, don't they?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's interesting with Steve Clarke, isn't it? I mean, he's picked up. I was reading an interview with him, and the people he's worked on. He's worked with Bobby Robson, Kenny Dalglish, Mourinho. He's got a lot of experience. Yeah, he has, hasn't he? Yeah, he's been quite.
West Brom. It's very rare you see West Brom really lose at home. To be honest, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's the big four. But other than that, they very rarely lose.
Alex?
I've gone 3-1 West Brom.
3-1 West Brom.
And there's a bonus point. I'll say Anelka to get his first goal of the season.
Oh, have you written that in?
Yeah.
Very good. I've gone 2-0 to West Brom for that one. Interesting one, Fulham Man United. Now, Tim, you predicted a couple of weeks ago about Martin Yol going.
I'm not going to go there again, man.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to do a cheeky one. I think he'll go. I think he'll go. I think Man United will thump him 4-1. And I think Yol will be on his way. I think he's teetering. I think he's circling the drain. He's Yol,
especially when
Alex is shaking his head.
They did lose earlier on in the week as well in the League Cup, didn't they?
Yeah,
Leicester.
Yeah. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I totally disagree. I think Man U are going to struggle, and I think with Fulham's team, players like Scott Parker, I think this is a good game, an opportunity for them to play without pressure and lift the game, and I think they'll get a point, 1-1.
1-1, very good. Tim, what do you think?
I still think Fulham are far too open, and I think with players like Nani and he might bring in some players from midweek, so he might bring Zaha in or something like that, because that was an impressive win against quite a strong Norwich side as well. I mean, they played as many players as they possibly could, Hugh, and so I've gone for 3-1 Man U.
Well, I've gone 4-1 to Manchester United. I've got Martin Yol to get sacked. West Ham, Aston Villa. I thought Villa were going to win last week, and they let me down completely. Against West Ham,
they're our team to predict Villa, though, aren't they? So
yeah, some weeks the team on it, and then other weeks it just doesn't happen. How do you see that one going, Alex?
I hate them, but I've gone for West Ham to win.
You've gone for West
2-1.
2-1. Tim,
I think it might be. I did have gone hell for leather this week.
5-all.
Because of the way Villa have been playing.
Benteke's back.
Benteke's back, and they haven't been playing terribly, but they always seem to be going on a bit of a run of form where they don't seem to do well, and then they just knock one straight out of the park. So I've gone 3-1 Villa.
You've gone 3-1 Villa. Right, I've gone 1-all, so I'm a bit conservative.
So we're all different now.
We're all different on that one. Big game at 5:30 on Saturday. It's Arsenal versus Liverpool. Probably Arsenal's first test as title contenders. We pointed out last week, Alex, that Arsenal have been quite lucky with the fixtures. Have played 8 of the bottom 10 teams. 10 teams, yep. And when they've come up against good opposition, Chelsea midweek they lost, Dortmund Champions League they lost. You could argue Napoli they beat them comfortably. It's a big test, and Flamini's out as well. To
be fair, the Chelsea game was half for youngsters as well, wasn't it? But
is it the mentality though? Wenger, has never beaten Mourinho. Does that weigh on players' minds?
Could be, yeah. I think this will be a cracker. I'm going to miss it because I'm going to the Crew game, but I think there'll be plenty of goals, and it's going to be exciting to watch the top two play each other.
Yeah.
And two teams that not overachieving, but who you wouldn't expect to be top two.
Do you think it'll live up to expectations, Tim, or will it be a bit dour?
I don't know. Well, whenever you got Suarez on, it can always be that kind of game, can't it? So it can always be an electrifying one. But I think, in midweek when he played Chelsea, he played the kids in the defence, but he still had Wilshere and Ramsey in centre, and he brought all them on, and they still struggled, I think. So I think when it comes to it, Arsenal still aren't strong enough to mount a challenge. I think they've done well at it so far. Like you said, that's against all the lower teams in the league. So
what have you gone for there?
I'm going to stick with the SAS because you can never go wrong with SAS. I've gone 2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 Liverpool. Alex?
2-all draw.
And I've gone 2-1 Arsenal. The reason why I've gone Arsenal, this is a real point. I don't actually kind of believe that they will win 2-1, but I'm really hoping, because I'd like to see Arsenal be the real deal. Despite I like Liverpool as well, so
I'll put my bonus point forward.
Oh,
the 2 goals will only be scored by Suarez or Sturridge. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
It will only be scored by either of them.
Write that one down, Tim.
Yeah.
So Gerrard won't get a penalty.
No. So behind your 2-2, then Alex, what's the thinking behind that? Just cancel each other out, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really open game. I can't see either team sitting back with the attacking players they've got, and I think it'll be a really good game.
Who do you think's stronger, Arsenal or Liverpool? Who's got the better balance? And I mean, that's Sturridge and Suarez is exceptional. Suarez's hat-trick last week was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Well, I'd say you'd have Liverpool strikers, but you'd want Arsenal's midfielders.
Yeah,
I'd say that, like you said about Suarez's hat-trick last week, but he didn't get the best goal. I mean, Sturridge's chip, that lob, was just something else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think like with Suarez and Sturridge, I think we've uncovered the new like Cole York kind of thing. I mean, obviously, I think them two were a bit closer together, but it's just you can't really stop it, can you?
No, it's
and the format Sturridge is in as well. That's good for England.
It's good for England. It is indeed. Moving on to Sunday then, Alex. Everton, Tottenham. Everton, tremendous season for them so far. Tottenham, bit of chaos at Tottenham now. Andre Villas-Boas having a go at his own fans, and
praised them
discontent.
Last night,
praised them, after League Cup win. But is there fractions there? Expectations have risen for Spurs.
Yeah, it was an odd one to come out with, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I do fancy Everton for this. They've not lost at home this year, I don't think. We're obviously going to be in November.
Yeah.
I don't see loads of goals in Tottenham just yet.
No.
So I can see when Everton beat Chelsea 1-0 earlier in the season, I can see him getting a goal and just...
There's a guy called Soldado Penn that seems to keep scoring for Spurs, whoever he is. I'll nick that from Twitter. So what have you gone for score-wise?
1-0 Everton.
1-0 Everton. Tim, what do you think? Everton, Tottenham, it's interesting, difference between the two. Tottenham all the money, Everton kind of, the consistency. It's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think Roberto Martinez will have one.
Yeah,
over Villas-Boas in this one. I mean, when Villas-Boas came out and spoke about the fans, a lot of the fans on the TV were saying that they agreed with him, and that for the past 4 or 5 years the atmosphere has been just dire. He said for the big clubs, but when you play someone like Hull, it's just flat, awful flat. He said they don't do anything for the fans to help them out. But I think going on to Goodison, which is a stadium which atmosphere is really, really good in that one, I think. I've gone 2-0 Everton. I can't see Tottenham scoring. I haven't been impressed by them over the past week, to be honest.
No,
they struggled in League Cup, they struggled on Sunday, struggled against Cardiff. They haven't come out yet and said, look, this is what we've got.
You don't think they're title contenders?
Oh no, far from it.
Tottenham title contenders, Alex?
Not without a proper goal scorer, no.
Do you think a play like, Lamella's disappointed, hasn't he, in the bits that we've seen of him? He's not, doesn't look anything like his price tag, does he?
No,
is it just a case of fitting in though? I mean, I can't
he's
say
asked for some time, and he's saying
Bale on
He's only been there a month or two, so I think it's a bit too early myself.
Too early to say. I've gone 2-2. Ah, dear, it could be. I just think, the one thing I would say is Tottenham's away support is fantastic. So maybe, that kind of passion, possibly. What
should be a good game, whatever.
You'd hope, wouldn't you? What do you think of that one then, Alex?
1-0 Everton.
You've gone 1-0 Everton there. And then the final game is Cardiff City versus blank.
Swansea.
Is it Swansea?
Welsh derby.
Bloody hell. You don't know.
South Wales derby.
South Wales derby. So it's final game on Sunday is Cardiff City versus Swansea. Bit of an interesting one, the derby, everything like that. Tim, how do you see that one going?
I think I can see them matching each other. Swansea haven't set the world alight away from home, away from the bit of stadium, and Cardiff have been very difficult to beat at the Cardiff Stadium. I don't know what the name of it is. But
the Cardiff Stadium. That'll be fine.
I think it actually might be Cardiff City Stadium.
That's fine. There's probably some big sponsorship deal. They've changed the name of the stadium. Something Red Bull Stadium or something.
Something like that. It wouldn't surprise you, would it? Not with their owner. Exactly. But I've gone 2-2 on that one.
You've gone 2-2. I've gone 1-1 with that. I think it'll be tricky.
I've gone 1-1 as well.
You've got 1-1 as well. So we've got quite a few results that are a bit similar, haven't we?
Yeah, I think Swansea are the better side, but I think Cardiff with the home support, I think, will even out.
I'm not willing to put a bonus point forward, but
you should be.
If Cardiff lose, would you see Malcolm Mackay
definitely
worried? Or at least worried, or possibly wait until Monday morning?
If there was doubt when they were doing all right after a defeat against Swansea.
Yeah, I
think he probably would be out.
Absolutely. So are there any other punts, any other things that we want to have a
just to clarify that these bonus points are separate from the scoreline, so that Hart or Pantilimon to play, it's separate from the score.
Absolutely, yeah. If we get it wrong, it'll be just 1 point off.
I'd love to say Cisse to get a hat trick at Chelsea, but that's never going to happen. Not going to happen.
Steve, you done any bonus ones apart from the Hart one?
I've done Martin Yol on his way out, and I've done the.
Oh, you're saying Yol will get sacked?
Yeah, I've said Yol to get sacked.
What's Tim done? Sorry,
I've done the 2 goals that Liverpool score, because they will score 2 goals, are by Suarez or Sturridge only.
So we've all got
no one else.
So if Suarez scored both goals, for example, you'd still get it.
Yeah. It's just the SAS, man.
Just the SAS.
I'm loving it.
Okay, thanks for listening to The Route 1 Show. Remember, you can download and subscribe to The Route 1 Show on iTunes for free, and you can listen on YouTube as well. And you can also read our blog at theroute1show@tumblr.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter at The Route 1 Show, and our email address is theroute1show@gmail.com. I've been Stephen Brown, and with me for this episode has been Tim Feather. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, C.
And thank you, Alex.
Cheers, Steve.